The time is at hand.
From Williamson, West Virginia, the gateway to the crackheads. This is In Dark Places. Ghost stories. Nothing big or scary. It was a yearly school camp trip when I was at secondary. In Singapore, we don't have much forests, so the camp is more like a facility area that has fences surrounding it. There's the main entrance, which had a road that led directly to the activity area, which only had one entrance. So it was the first night. The boys had tents in the activity room area to sleep. It was like late past midnight, definitely. I remember waking up to use the portable potty. It wasn't a long walk, but I distinctly remember seeing an old man walking out of the area. There's no way to enter the place other than that one entrance, and there's no reason for an old man to even be in the area full of young teen boys. A year later, I was told there was a gravestone of an old man in the secondary activity area. So that's my ghost story. About the time I was 17 or so, a few friends and I were out at the beach making dry ice bombs in the middle of the night, probably midnight or so. We were quite delinquent back then. There were about 5 or 6 of us, and we were just chilling, having a good time, trying to make potholes in the ground with dry ice bombs in the sand. It was quite a foggy night, which isn't too unusual considering I live on the northwest coast, Oregon, and it rains here 300 days out of the year. After 30 minutes or so of being rambunctious teenagers, we decided to walk down the beach a bit. After probably about 10-15 minutes of walking, we heard a strange, scratching, grinding sound, and stopped and listened. Sooner than 20 seconds later, a tall figure emerges from the fog adjacent to the ocean, but between us and the fog. It had to be at least 8 foot tall, and it was dragging a chain. Not just your average chain, but like a massive chain, like it was used for an anchor or something. The rings were probably about 8 inches long apiece, and it looked like they had to be at least an inch in diameter as well. Now this chain wasn't short by any means. It was probably about 40 to 50 feet long, and this dude was just dragging it in the sand behind him in the middle of the night. We all sat there silently, and I got the biggest shiver down my spine, and all the hair stood on end, and my breath seemed to escape me. We gathered, watching the figure cross our path and make its way up the beach. It and the chain slowly faded out of sight. Well, that was creepy, I thought. We then continued back down the beach to a shipwreck called the Peter Iredell, which is all but eroded by now, and took in the cool sea spray and enjoyed the ominous whooshing of the serene ocean waves. We toss a couple of dry ice bombs into the water, and we head back to our car, where we are parked, probably half a mile up the shore. As we were walking, we heard that noise again. My heart thumped, and I got the cold sweats. It was that thing again, trudging that chain up the beach. It had to have been the exact same place where we saw it the first time. There were no drag marks in front of him, no footsteps, no indications that anyone had laid foot on the ground in front of him in the path it had previously walked. The sand was dry, and it wasn't washed over by waves or anything of that sort. We watched for a moment out of curiosity as to what was going on. We stood there dumbfounded, watching the figure trudge through the sand with its unfathomable, massive chain dragging behind it. It stopped dragging the Satan chain and stared directly at us, piercing our soul and the essence of our being. We stood there, jaws dropped, staring back at the shadowy figure. It began to slowly march toward us, and we booked it through the sand. I never ran so fast in my life. We all piled into the car. Bro turns the engine on, and we floor it out of there, easily hitting 80 miles an hour on a straight stretch of access road. The entire time, I was staring out the back window of the car, some reason expecting it to terminate her after us and catch up with us. Thankfully it didn't, and I never saw the shadowy figure again. It was the strangest, most heart-wrenching, terrifying thing I have ever experienced. None of us were on any drugs. We were all straight-edge kids, clean as a whistle. Shadow figures and their chains, scaring kids. Shame on them. A week or so later, a friend of ours, who wasn't there with us that night, told me that people used to practice black magic in the dunes there, and there were artifacts of demonology and inverted crosses scattered about. I called BS on his accusations of such occurrences. It turns out it was true. I went to the mom and asked her about it, and she said that she had heard similar stories. So naturally, we looked into it a bit, and then went out to search for said black magic devil worshipping sites. We were able to find some inverted crosses, which were made of some sort of metal that was all but rusted over, and concrete blocks, probably a cubic meter in size, in a few different places, holes bored through them, and metal rings inserted through them, as if to be an anchor point. I put two and two together and theorized that the chain was at one point connected to one of these blocks in the dunes, for Lord knows what purpose. I assumed the creature was of black magic / demonology, and will never set foot in that godforsaken, cursed dune of devilry again. And it turns out that this guy's story was in the Oregon Ghost Stories book, and he witnessed it firsthand. You know what? I'm going to stop right there. I had 17 more to go, but I don't really have time to read those. Sorry. Maybe next time. Thanks as always, Jimmy Haunted. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate you. I'll see you again next time. God bless.